Good evening and welcome to Learning the Law. I am Andrew and I am here to discuss my path through law school. So, this week we looked at a couple of different things. One, we looked at a rule breakdown for a situation in which we are looking at a rule for burglary in a specific city, just that we understand how rules will apply to laws given different circumstances. So, the law is for it to be a burglary in some city, it has to be you have to break and enter into a home with the intent to commit a felony at night. So we had a good amount of fun with this exercise. So we looked at a couple different things. So first of all, we were given a situation where a guy was came into a house and was asked to hang pictures. So he was hanging pictures. Woman left for a little bit to walk her dog. The street lights turn on, and he finishes his work and decides to look around the house. He goes into the den and steals a PS4 and a computer. So we then had to, she then catches him and so on and so forth. But then we had to decide, was that a burglary? And we came to the analysis of, so I don't believe he broke and entered unless you are considering that breaking and entering into the den because he didn't have permission to go in there qualifies as breaking and entering. So then he didn't come in with the intent to commit the felony. Unless you're talking about going into the den. And was it at night? I don't know. It kind of depends on what time the street light turned on. But we thought it was kind of funny because it's like, okay, so if I break into your house in the daytime with the intent to commit a felony that is at night, for example, if I decide to break into your house thinking I'm going to hide in this person's attic until they go to work or something because they work nights or some odd circumstance, and then I'm going to rob their house, then would that be burglary? And the answer is I don't know. I would have to look at the case law on what is considered night and what they mean by intent to commit a felony at night. Is it intent to commit a felony and the time period, the intent can be formed at night or the felony can be at night? I just don't know. It's a weird circumstance. The other thing I did was we did a rules analysis essay for battery. We were looking at a situation in which a girl tried to give a sandwich to a homeless guy. The homeless guy decided he didn't want a sandwich, he wanted money, and decided to smack the sandwich out of the girl's hand. Was this a battery? Was one of the first question. So, but that's followed up by the rest of the circumstance. So he smacks the sandwich. It somehow flies towards the girl's boyfriend, who dodges, dropping his umbrella. The homeless man then grabs the umbrella and runs away with it. So then the shopkeeper, from whom the umbrella was bought, decides to take a rock and throw it at the homeless man. He hits the homeless man, and the homeless man then stops and they get the umbrella back. And then they wait for the cops to arrest the homeless man. So here are the questions. Was the incident with the sandwich a battery? And then the other question is, was throwing the rock a battery? Well, yeah. So let's go over that. So was the sandwich a battery? A battery is a contact is when an individual makes intentional, unwanted, harmful, or offensive contact with another. So the homeless man's contact would have not been consented to because although the contact of taking the sandwich may have been consented to, smacking the sandwich out of her hand, albeit an indirect contact, was not consented to because it was an aggressive action rather than a receptive one. So that was my analysis on was the thing with the homeless guy and the gorilla battery. The next question is in regards to the rock. So throwing a rock. If you throw a rock at somebody and it hits them, and you were intending to hit them with a rock and didn't have any excuse as to why you threw the rock at them, that is likely at least battery. So it would be an intentional, unwanted, harmful contact. So with battery, harm can be as little as $1. So basically, anything qualifies that is a negative interaction. So my one thought on the incident with the rock was this a defensive property thing? because if it was, you might escape the liability for battery. If not, he's likely liable for criminal battery, which is not great. So, anyway, that was what I learned in the law. So, this has been Learning the Law with Andrew. Thank you for joining me.